Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. MALLOR GRODNER Attorneys providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. LawMG.com. IU Alumni Association connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. Alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. Rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. Across the state, local officials are rethinking their operations as the coronavirus pandemic worsens, closing schools, limiting social gatherings, and imposing fines on businesses that don't enforce the state's mask mandate.
The CDC has issued holiday guidance that stresses that even with friends and family, people need to be cautious during the holidays so that they don't add to the trend of increasing cases.
The latest on the coronavirus and the pressure communities are under as the outbreak continues to get worse. Many food banks around the area have already smashed their yearly records for output. And with Thanksgiving less than a week away, we're just now heading into their busiest time of the year.
I think 6 million is probably the low threshold that we're going to hit, and that would just be unbelievable for us to go from 5 million to 6 million in 1 year.
And we'll have the latest news headlines from across the state starting right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. Well, this week saw more record COVID-19 infections, hospitalizations, and deaths. Almost 1 in 6 of Indiana's COVID-19 infections during the pandemic have been confirmed in the past week, and the death toll, which has been rising steadily since September, has reached its highest level. Now, looking at the state, more than a quarter of Indiana's counties are now labeled as high risk for coronavirus spread. It's against this backdrop that we're heading into Thanksgiving, a time we're used to gathering with our friends and family. 1 week after the state implemented a series of new restrictions, health officials begged Hoosiers to social distance and limit family gathering sizes heading into the Thanksgiving holiday.
Holiday celebrations need to look different this year. The CDC has issued holiday guidance that stresses that even with friends and family, people need to be cautious during the holidays so that they don't add to the trend of increasing cases.
Hospitals and health systems across the state say they're overwhelmed with the surge in cases. The state's hospitalizations have increased each of the last 5 days, and for the first time in the pandemic, more than 3,000 Hoosiers are in Indiana hospitals with COVID-19.
We are no longer the front line of attack for this. We are the last line, and we need help. We need our communities to pull together. We need them to fight this fight with us. We want to be here when you need us, but we need help in order to continue to do that.
COVID hospitalizations are up 60% over the past 2 weeks. Ann Box expects COVID statistics will continue to get worse. She says the state is in a, quote, exponential growth curve right now, and new infections, hospitalizations, and deaths will continue over the next several weeks. A lot of counties have adopted COVID rules that are more restrictive than the state's. Bartholomew County started enacting its own restrictions several weeks ago in an effort to bend the curve. Reporter Brock Turner has more.
It's a quiet afternoon in Columbus. The restaurants surrounding the courthouse square usually have their tables filled, but as temperatures dropped, so did the business. Corey Parker owns the Columbus Bar. It's been in business for 80 years. When the pandemic first began, he was forced to lay off all 12 of his employees. He's since hired a few back, but worries a surge in new cases will force more difficult decisions. Parker says his entire business model has changed. Before March, the restaurant and bar averaged about 1 Grubhub food delivery order a day. Now, most days, delivery accounts for more than 50% of business. He's noticed some folks are becoming more hesitant to venture out. That, paired with colder temperatures, has him worried.
Over the summer, a lot of our business was all patio. We'd have people come sit out here, all afternoon, and now that it's gotten cold and the nights, coming early, we just don't see that.
Parker says he understands the restrictions and supports them. He, just like many economists, say the restrictions have not harmed his business. Rather, the coronavirus has.
I don't want, this pandemic to continue and things like that. I think maybe we should have been a little stricter in the beginning and had a little stronger. Now we're just kind of dragging it out. But, I also think that if we're going to continue with these restrictions, there needs to be some actual help for people, both small businesses and the actual employees and the people.
And more restrictions are likely. Bartholomew County rolled back on its reopening plan before Indiana did. The county imposed capacity limits in dining rooms and bars, moved schools to virtual learning, and closed some public spaces.
We think we've reached our limit for telling people to wear the masks and to physical distance properly. And we've kind of reached a roadblock with that. And now we're left with these more restrictive measures. And that's kind of the reason we went back to the 4.5. It's more of a wake-up call to the community that we need to start doing something at a local level.
Even though Bartholomew County was one of the first in the state to roll back reopening, officials here say even more restrictions could be on the horizon.
As of right now, gyms are still open full capacity. That's probably something we'll be looking at. And we're continuing to have conversations with the faith-based community as far as attendance in church services as well. That's a concern.
The state opted to exclude faith-based gatherings from restrictions, despite growing evidence they've contributed to outbreaks. Brian Tabor is the president of the Indiana Hospital Association. He says he's very concerned about hospitalization trends.
Really, it's picking up for everybody. And I think given the numbers that we've seen in just a couple of weeks, I doubt there's going to be much capacity anywhere in the system.
Columbus Regional Health has little capacity now. They're caring for twice as many patients with COVID-19 as they were in March, and they've already rolled back elective procedures.
But really our wave is still the first wave because the Midwest didn't really see, especially rural communities, didn't really see the heightened numbers that the coastlines did and those larger metropolitan areas like you're speaking to. So we were, kind of weathering that storm, and the storm has not stopped. It's just even intensified more.
With cases continuing to climb across Indiana and the Midwest, it's likely the strain on healthcare systems will continue.
A lot of national experts are predicting that we're going to see these high levels and surging going on for the next several weeks. And as we have family get-togethers here, Thanksgiving and Christmas time, there's always a concern that people aren't doing the right thing.
Parker says he supports additional restrictions if it means ending the pandemic sooner. He says he's willing to do everything he can to slow the spread, but needs some help.
You need to look at the small guy, you need to look at the people. Big business is going to make it. Walmart's going to keep getting business. Amazon's going to do great. It's the little guy you got to worry about now, because if we're not here, there is no America.
Despite broad bipartisan support, talks of a second economic stimulus have stalled in Congress. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Brock Turner.
Democrats say the General Assembly is not prepared to safely conduct its legislative session in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. They say they're concerned about a lack of firm rules requiring masks or steps such as random testing of members to prevent a COVID-19 outbreak that could force an interruption of the legislative session. As State House reporter Brandon Smith reports, lawmakers gathered at the State House this week for the first time since the pandemic started sweeping across the country.
Republican legislative leaders say they haven't decided on any COVID testing or screening procedures for lawmakers during session. They also haven't determined a threshold for when the session might need to shut down temporarily because of positive cases. Leaders said Tuesday members won't be allowed to participate in committee hearings virtually, and Speaker Todd Houston says lawmakers must be in person to vote on legislation.
We think that it could be a bit of a slippery slope to go down that path. Obviously, our interest is allowing members to do as much as possible.
Democratic Representative Robin Shackelford says lawmakers aren't prepared for the realities of a session amid COVID.
I think the leadership just wants to do the bare minimum and still go ahead and proceed with session.
Now, while Shackelford was doing that virtual press conference with reporters, she also revealed that she had just found out that day that she was in close contact with someone who had tested positive for COVID-19, but she hadn't yet left the State House and was around other lawmakers.
So lawmakers officially voted this week not to require masks at the State House. Was that along party lines?
Well, it was a vote by House lawmakers about House lawmakers. So Governor Holcomb controls the rest of the State House. Masks are required under his orders. But yeah, Republicans said, no, we're not going to require our own members to wear masks. Democrats said we should. That's the Democrats who brought the motion. And to be fair, of the 90-something House lawmakers who were there on Organization Day, only 2 refused to wear masks. Both are Republicans, and neither one were allowed to participate in the private Republican caucus meeting.
So your reporting makes it sound like there really hasn't been much planning that's gone into the session. Do they have a plan for what to do if someone gets sick?
If they do, they're not telling us. As I talked about in the piece, they haven't developed any testing or screening procedures for lawmakers or those who are around the General Assembly. We don't know if they will. That we asked about a threshold. If so many people get the virus, will you have to temporarily shut down? They don't know what that level will be. What they do know is that they've said they're not going to allow sort of virtual participation. So if a lawmaker gets sick, it sounds like they're just going to be sick and not going to be able to participate unless the General Assembly is halted.
We just have a few more seconds. Want to know, big thing I think people, though, are anticipating lawmakers to take up is about the governor's emergency powers. Some Republicans don't approve of the governor's use of executive orders. Did that come up during this week's meetings?
Not in any significant way, but we do expect it to come up during session. I don't think they're going to take all of the powers away, but they probably will curtail them in some fashion.
All right, Brandon, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. Could COVID-19 spell the end of Black Friday? Ahead, how retailers are planning for what is typically one of the busiest shopping days of the year. And with regular venues inaccessible, theater companies are getting creative to connect with their audiences during the pandemic. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk. WTIU Television and WFIU Radio make up the largest public news bureau, bringing you stories and information you need about your community and our state. Consistently recognized as one of the best news sources in Indiana, we strive to provide in-depth coverage to help you stay safe, informed, and understand the world around you. Join us on Indiana Newsdesk, your source for the latest in-depth local and state news.
There's never been a more important time to make sure facts and the truth are driving conversation. Washington Week is an island of civil discourse in a chaotic media environment. On Friday nights, we gather the best reporters in the nation to unpack what's really happening and have a conversation that's not about point of view, but about informing the American people.
Washington Week.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. Thanksgiving is now less than a week away, and for many, this year's festivities will look quite different from years past. While families mull new ways to celebrate because of the virus, many are wondering for the first time how they'll put food on the table. Mitch Legan has more on food pantries' struggle to keep up with this year's record demand as they head into their busiest time of the year.
It's 3 p.m. on a Wednesday at Pantry 279 in Ellettsville, which means Pantry Director Cindy Chavez is going to be busy for the next couple hours.
So that's our biggest distribution day, which means we're going to put through roughly 200 cars, which will feed usually around 600 people.
In the parking lot, cars are packed bumper to bumper, with some backed up onto State Road 46.
Usually on a Wednesday, you feed between 250 people, which is roughly 60, 70 cars, versus now 600.
That's been the case since March. Record numbers of people needing food brought on by the coronavirus pandemic. Before, Pantry 279 would serve about 3,000 people a month. Now, it's 6,000. Things have been so busy that Chavez has had to add hours just to keep up with demand. And the pantry already doubled last year's output by September.
We hit 1.2 million pounds in September, and we haven't even touched Thanksgiving yet.
Hoosier Hills Food Bank, which provides food to organizations such as Pantry 279, finds itself in a similar situation.
Last year was a record for us. It was the first time we ever hit 5 million pounds. And this year we hit 5.2 million pounds by September. So we're running about 44 to 45% ahead of last year's distribution already.
While Hoosier Hills usually focuses on getting food to pantries and other organizations for distribution, the food bank has provided food directly to individuals and surveyed those who came. Alonzo says over 70% of respondents have said the pandemic has affected their ability to get food in some way.
A lot of them indicating that they'd either lost jobs or lost hours, lost childcare, or a lot of seniors were just too much at risk and too afraid of exposure to go out to grocery stores.
But it's almost a straight 50% since the COVID began, is people who have never been to a food pantry before. And you can always tell them their cars tend to be a little bit nicer than everybody else's. They also are very embarrassed. They don't want to look you in the eye when they're asking your name and stuff. They apologize a lot.
Tracy is one person who never thought she'd need Pantry 279.
I mean, 1 week's worth of pay is huge to a lot of people. Like, they always talk about people living paycheck to paycheck. Well, it's really true.
She'd moved into a new house with her family right before March. Once the pandemic took hold, sales for her home-based resale business screeched to a halt, and her husband's a barber, so he couldn't work March and April. And customer traffic still isn't the same as it once was.
Some of them are working a second part-time job, but it's not enough to feed the family. They've blown through their savings. So now they have to make a choice. Do we have shelter and heat, or do we have food?
In a brief from October, the nonprofit Feeding America estimated 50 million Americans could become food insecure by the end of the year, up from 35 million before the pandemic. Chavez says she's had people from 26 different counties show up in Ellettsville needing food. Tracy says the pantry has been an invaluable resource as people get back on track.
You got one thing after another that you're thinking about for your family. And if you can just check that one thing off that you don't have to worry about, yeah, it's a huge thing.
That's why Pantry 279 and Hoosier Hills are teaming up today and tomorrow for their biggest Thanksgiving drive to date. Normally, the pantry gives away 1,200 boxes of Thanksgiving staples a year. But with help from Hoosier Hills, the plan is to distribute 2,000 this Thanksgiving, which Chavez says will feed 14,000 to 15,000 people. In total, Hoosier Hills will be providing roughly 4,000 meals to families in the area this Thanksgiving, including through the partnership with 279.
It's been quite an experience for everyone, regardless of what level of society you're at or what you're involved in. So I think it's very important for us as a community, as individuals, to do everything we can to provide light and positivity.
And the work isn't over with Thanksgiving. Things will pick back up come Christmas time. So the food bank will be looking for more community support to help it keep up with all the food it's had to order. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Mitch Legan.
Now, as part of a Thanksgiving challenge, an anonymous donor promised to match donations up to $30,000. The community stepped up and actually surpassed the total by $10,000, bringing Pantry's 279's final Thanksgiving total to more than $70,000. Chavez says the pantry will put the extra money toward Christmas. Well, the upcoming holiday season brings with it one of the biggest shopping days of the year, Black Friday. Because of the pandemic, retailers are changing their strategies to attract shoppers. Pat Bean reports.
Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, is traditionally the beginning of the biggest shopping weekend of the year. Customers will line up for hours, waiting for stores to open to rush in and find the best deals possible. But with COVID-19 ravaging the nation and the emergence over the past decade of online shopping, Black Friday is beginning to have a different feel.
We may see some lines, but I would hope that they're socially distanced and masked, and that I think retailers are trying to be responsible in terms of how many people they let into the stores, social distancing within stores.
The pandemic has shown the importance of e-commerce. Most big box stores had already seen their online purchases grow over the past few years.
What's happened during the pandemic is that the percentage of sales in e-commerce is now at a spot that most people didn't expect it to be in until 2030. So we've moved 10 years into the future in terms of penetration of e-commerce relative to physical stores.
The allure of shopping in person on Black Friday was already waning with online shopping on the rise. Plus, opening stores for shopping on Thanksgiving was perceived as wrong by some. This year, Walmart and Kohl's announced they were closing on Thanksgiving and beginning their Black Friday specials the following day. Some businesses, such as Target and Best Buy, have already begun offering Black Friday deals. While online shopping is becoming more the norm, businesses aren't giving up on physical stores. The benefit of actually seeing and touching what you're buying still matters to some customers.
And so I saw a lot of retail companies kind of advantaging that and learning how to actually differentiate themselves from Amazon because of the fact that they had physical stores.
One side effect of the pandemic and the recent trade wars has been disruptions in the supply chains and how much stores are keeping on the shelves. Talbot says retailers are focused on keeping the hot items stocked, but has this advice.
If you're a parent with a young kid with an expectation of having a certain object, that I would buy it when you see it as opposed to trying to wait for the best price, because when it's gone, it's gone.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Pat Bean.
Well, COVID-19 has impacted the performing arts in a lot of ways. From Broadway to smaller venues across the country, performances have been postponed or canceled. That's forcing venues to rethink how they connect with audiences during a time when people are craving that more than ever. Bloomington theater company Cardinal Stage was forced to get creative this fall when COVID-19 canceled its regular season. Cardinal Stage artistic director Kate Galvin was inspired by an idea she heard about at Philadelphia's Fringe Festival called a walkabout play. She used this idea to create Cardinal Stage's fall walkabout radio play series called The Woman in the Woods.
That concept had stuck in my brain and made its way out of the crevices of my brain as I was trying to figure out how to create theater in the middle of this pandemic.
Site-specific and entirely recorded, audience members purchase access to the recordings and walk to different places around IU's campus and downtown Bloomington, stopping to listen to the story at certain locations on their mobile devices. The play series was written by Josie Gingrich and Emily Goodson. Goodson, who grew up in Bloomington, was eager to write a story set in her hometown.
When we started the idea of a walkabout tour, I think what was most attractive to me was the idea of taking a place you love and letting that inspire the story, as opposed to having the story inspire the places.
Galvin wanted the radio play series to make audience members see the world they know well in a new, imaginative light. The first 2 episodes of the story are set in iconic locations on IU's campus, including the graveyard next to the Indiana Memorial Union and Dunn's Woods. The 3rd and 4th are set downtown on the Courthouse Square and along the Beeline Trail.
It is about a young woman named Ellie who comes to IU, and when she gets here, she discovers that she has very deep roots in Bloomington that she never knew about. And she is called upon to become a sentinel to guard the city of Bloomington against some forces of evil that are out to get the people in the town.
The Woman in the Woods is recommended for ages 14 and up, and all 4 parts of the series are now available for purchase. After decades being known as a basketball school, Tom Allen has the nation taking notice of Indiana's football team. As Pat Bean reports, the number 9 Hoosiers face their toughest test yet this weekend.
You have to go back a half a century to find an Indiana football program that has received the recognition that this year's team has. The 4-0 Hoosiers are ranked number 9 in the nation following a shutout win at Michigan State last Saturday. It's their highest ranking since 1967, when Indiana went to the Rose Bowl and finished ranked number 4. But not everyone is a believer. Indiana is a 3-touchdown underdog for Saturday's game against number 3 Ohio State in Columbus. And that's rubbing head coach Tom Allen the wrong way.
I don't care what anybody says about this stinking game. We're going to compete. We're going to fight. And good Lord willing, we're going to find a way. Keep proving everybody wrong.
The Hoosiers have been doing that all season. They've knocked off then number 8 Penn State and then number 23 Michigan. Saturday's win at Michigan State was IU's first there since 2001 and allowed the Hoosiers to reclaim the old brass spittoon trophy. But the victory didn't come without a personal cost for Allen. His son, junior linebacker Thomas Allen, suffered a fractured hip in the game and will miss the remainder of the season.
So I hurt so much for Thomas because I know what he's been through to get here. So he's a tough sucker.
Allen is the kind of coach to wear his emotions on his sleeves. He ends every press conference and tweet saying LEO, That stands for Love Each Other. The Hoosiers will see how far that love and passion can take them Saturday when they face one of the nation's most talented teams.
And Ohio State's been they've been the standard bearer for this conference, and it has been that way for a long, long time.
Beat Ohio State, and the future may read the best Indiana team since 2020. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Pat Bean.
The Indiana men's basketball team is starting its season next week. The first game, November 25th against Tennessee Tech, but like with the football team, there will be no fans allowed at this year's game. Well, that's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Now, we won't see you next Friday because of the Thanksgiving holiday, but we'll be back the week following. Stay safe. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville Fiber Internet, streaming TV, home security and automation in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. MALLOR GRODNER Attorneys providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis. LawMG.com. IU Alumni Association connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. Alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. Rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.